Lord helps those who help each other presents the inspiring true story of how the introduction of cooperative movements changed the lives and economic standing of many Nova Scotians. This heartwarming tale takes place in northeastern Nova Scotia and follows a variety of manual labor-based industries. In the early 1920s, fishermen, farmers, and miners of eastern Nova Scotia were living in dire poverty. To fully understand the severity of the community's conditions, we must understand how those conditions came to be. On page 19 of Introduction and the Birth of the Antigonish Movement, it states, religious persecution and the poverty associated with it led to lower levels of education and also to social and political marginalization, and the process perpetuated itself from one generation to the next. Families were struggling to make ends meet, while salt cod and fried potatoes became the year-round norm for meals. Families were stressed from economic pressures prominent during this time. Parents were overworked and underpaid for their labors, leaving their family ill-clad and undernourished. This period of economic devastation and hopelessness left innocent children to pay the price for the monopolization of the fishing industry. Within the farming industry, unproductive soil became a significant challenge. Without viable soil, the agricultural industry would crumble. During this period of economic uncertainty in Nova Scotia, the people regarded their wretched standards of living as a matter beyond their control. They viewed their conditions as a product of the capitalist economy and felt there was little hope of changing their situation. Farmers, to get cash, worked on the roads. They knew no other way. To quote the first page of Elements of a Theory of Transformation from the context of the skeptic's point of view, and so long as capitalism remains the dominant component in the economic structure, those elites will have sufficient power to block or subvert any serious movement along the pathways of social empowerment. This was the mindset sweeping the province at this time. People understood that the conditions dealt to them were insufficient, but they felt they did not have the power to make a real change in their lives, so they continued on as prisoners to the capitalist agenda. An undue share of the farm work was left to the women. As the typical breadwinners of the family were forced to take up a demeaning second job working on the roads, women were frequently tasked with maintaining the farms and livestock just to make ends meet and provide food and clothes for their impoverished families. Miners, working long hours for little pay, lived in slums. They had no hope of living elsewhere. During this period, miners, who spent their days doing demanding physical labor, were subject to living in ramshackled houses and experiencing food insecurity. They had little hope of escaping the capitalist economic system and breaking free from the shackles of economic uncertainty to rise above the poverty line. Fishermen were poorly paid. They saw no way of getting more. Each day, the fishermen tirelessly risked their lives and took to the ocean. They perform extremely demanding physical labor and work excruciating hours just to have a prayer at meeting their family's needs and increasing their socioeconomic standing. These victims of a flawed economic system suffered at length at the hands of a monopolistic capitalist industry. No matter how hard the fishermen worked, they knew they would never be able to progress economically under a monopolized fishing industry. Though the fishermen were the ones actually performing the manual labor, their fate and economic well-being was in the hands of the fish distributor. After each day on the sea, they brought their catch to the distributor, where he would pay them pennies on the dollar of what he was selling the fish for.
Only 75 cents for a day's catch?
No matter how often the fishermen expressed their outrage and demanded to make a fair wage, the fish distributor would not budge, as he knew he had a monopoly on the industry and there was seemingly nothing the fisherman could do to stop him, which led to poverty running rampant in the community while the fish distributor was making money off the fishermen's backs. However, some leaders thought they saw a way out. Enter Dr. J.J. Tompkins, a progressive thinker who believed the fishermen could learn to help themselves. Having been made aware of the industry's hardships, Dr. J.J. Tompkins approached the fishermen. He suggested a better, more prosperous alternative. The The success of the British-Canadian Cooperative, founded in 1907, suggested the adoption of cooperative principles. Although the fishermen were accustomed to a life accepting the negative economic circumstances allotted to them and being powerless to overthrow the monopolistic industry, to quote page 12 of the Socialist Compass, social power is power rooted in the capacity to mobilize people for cooperative, voluntary collective actions of various sorts in civil society. Page 3 also states, a well-organized, smoothly cooperating group is more powerful than a fractious, disorganized group. It has a greater capacity to accomplish things. Individually, the fishermen were powerless against the seemingly permanent economic hardships. Together, however, the fishermen finally stood a chance at achieving a better way of life. To manage their own business concerns, education was required. Night school for adults were set up. As we've come to understand throughout all the course readings, the involvement of an adult education program would be crucial to the implementation and success of a cooperative movement. Studies included reading, writing, and elementary economics. These adult education programs provided a wide array of benefits. The students were facing economic hardship and were in desperate need of both change and support. For many, these groups acted as a social outlet that provided solidarity in uncertain times. The group would meet frequently and either be given lessons or participate in a class discussion about the materials. This enabled students to be engaged in the lessons and gain confidence. These lessons not only provided the necessary information to successfully accomplish the goal of improving economic conditions, but they also instilled the students with a sense of community. This same sense of community would help coach the students in how to work together cooperatively. Dr. Hugh McPherson, another leader, worked with the men in the fields. Similar to Dr. J.J. Tompkins' method, Dr. Hugh McPherson approached the farmers and outlined a more productive and prosperous way of living. He encouraged the farmers to partake in a cooperative movement to solve the prominent issue of economic precarity. As previously shown, the agricultural industry was also in shambles. There was a growing issue with the lack of soil productivity, which affected many farmers in Nova Scotia. This devastating issue is why Dr. McPherson took action. As a professor of chemistry at St. Francis Xavier University, he used his college laboratory to show farmers how to make their soil more productive. He was able to offer the farmers the guidance they had been yearning for. With this recurring issue of soil productivity, farmers were in an unfortunate economic standing. They were facing difficulties growing and selling their products. The bloom of the farmer's crop was also the bloom of their hope of escaping the economic prison in which they once resided. Dr. McPherson forever changed the lives of these Nova Scotian farmers, allowing them to improve their economic status and to once again yield healthy crops. From such pioneer work, the adult education program of the Extension Department of St. Francis Xavier University was developed. It was supported by Catholic and Protestant churches and by the government. St. Francis Xavier University was the home of the adult education program of the Extension Department. The university used its educational resources to touch the minds and hearts of many. None other than St. Francis Xavier's own Dr. M.M. Cody and his assistant A.B. McDonald organized the work and head the staff. The program aimed to further educate those in need. They believed that a focus on economic education would result in economic action. They initially focused on primary producers and industrial workers, gathering them in study groups, as economic action is most successful when undertaken by a group rather than individually. Sister Marie Michael carried on a program for women. During this time, the vast majority of women were technically unemployed from any paid labor. Women did not have access to equal educational opportunities or property rights. This may lead you to believe that women did not play a sizable role in these cooperative movements. However, it was quite the opposite. To introduce adult education into a community, a member of the extension staff holds a mass meeting. These mass meetings took place all over eastern Nova Scotia and were typically led by Moses Cody. He would encourage communities to engage in adult education, commonly referred to as study clubs. So what kind of discussions did the study club address? To quote The Birth of the Antigonish Movement, page 21, generally, the study revolves around not only understanding the basic causes of the existing conditions, but also, and more important, searching for different alternatives. These alternatives were couched in terms of the implementation of community-based and controlled economic activities. The speaker urges people to study their economic problems and ways in which these may be solved through the establishment of cooperatives. Through the self-evaluation of one's own economic troubles, they are able to identify the need for change and take the necessary steps towards it. As is a repeating theme throughout this course, there is a great strength in numbers and teamwork towards a common goal. As previously outlined in my quote from page 19 of Introduction and the Birth of the Antigonish Movement, the poverty sweeping the province was cyclical and passed down from generation to generation. Many of the participants in these study clubs were forced to drop out of school to work and support their families, leaving the masses undereducated in economic matters. These study clubs would be pivotal in shaping the minds of manual labor workers. However, these meetings weren't just to identify areas of economic strain and further educate industrial workers. They were also held in hopes of seeking out a leader of the group. From the mass meeting, leaders are chosen. Although a cooperative is a collective group where each member has equal influence, people volunteered or were chosen to step up as leaders and be a link between the study clubs and the education department, taking on a role of responsibility. On page 5 of the study club, it states, Dr. Cody predicted that study clubs would discover the leaders' need for a new era of economic reform. The leaders were out there among the people, but there had to be some means of finding them. This was the unique function of the study clubs. Leaders had a list of tasks including receiving and distributing literature, performing progress reports on the club, and leading group discussions. Each leader organizes a small group into a study club which meets weekly. Every week, the members of the cooperative movement met together to discuss the literature and the next steps of their movement. These study clubs acted as a community staple. As many members were forced to drop out of school, the clubs became an exciting experience that they looked forward to. The study club of the community met together monthly as an associated study club. The movement formed a necessary link between education and economic action. This link was consistently maintained and strengthened by the plethora of mass meetings, study clubs, and leadership training courses. The people's participation in these education programs and self-help economic activities resulted in a strong motivation and an unwavering determination. Here appears the phenomenon of individuals awakening to community responsibility. The movement belonged to the people. They worked tirelessly, educating themselves and organizing new economic initiatives through their sacrifices. The people became aware that they were shaping not only their own economic future, but those of their community members as well. The self-learning that took place in groups of friends and neighbors was not only successful in providing knowledge, but also in building trust, loyalty, and commitment with community members. The Extension Department supplies books and pamphlets to the study clubs. Of the education program was the turning point for these industrial workers. They are finally able to see the light at the end of the tunnel through their sacrifices and dedication. The workers are motivated and hopeful for days of better economic standings. Though the poverty line is still apparent, the education program provided them with the knowledge to surpass it and have financial freedom at last. The education program provided the workers with the tools for a better life. All they have to do is use them. The emphasis of study is upon cooperative principles of business. Here they outline the corporate structure where one vote is allotted per share of stock, whereas over here they outline the cooperative structure where each member gets one vote. This is known as democratic control. Here they outline a capital-based ownership structure where profits to non-productive owners, whereas over here they outline the cooperative structure where the profits go to the members. This is known as patronage dividends. Here they outline loan sharks as high interest as possible, whereas over here they outline credit unions a fixed rate of interest. This could be known as low-cost loans. Here they outline an intermediary markup system. Middlemen capture profit despite not producing the goods themselves. Whereas over here they outline a structure without middlemen where producers get higher pay and consumers get lower prices. This is called distribution at cost. Though the workers had the knowledge to create their cooperative, they were lacking the capital. As all of the members were impoverished, they would need to combine resources to make a startup fund.
If we are to set up for ourselves, we must start saving money.
How can we save if we don't earn?
A troubling but very real statement. The workers were already suffering below the poverty line, so how would they be able to afford to meet their families' needs and save money for their cooperative?
25 cents a week will give us a start.
So that's exactly what they did. The members each contributed what little money they had to work towards opening their own cooperative. This method proved to be successful, as from November to June, they were able to raise $62.50, which would equal about $1,107 today.
With our savings, we can form a credit union.
Credit unions enable groups to use their collective savings to meet their own credit needs. On page 6 of Conclusions and Prospects, it states, newly formed local cooperatives and credit unions became integrated into secondary societies. New areas of activities were discovered and exploited, and the membership of the study clubs and local economic organizations exploded. This was clearly the case, as Nova Scotia in 3 years' time had 90 credit unions with combined assets of $300,000 and a loan record of $500,000. Credit unions were one of the main factors that contributed to the success of the cooperative movements in Nova Scotia. Credit unions developed community responsibility, put a heart into banking. For example, a young man was stricken with illness after using a loan to buy a truck. Instead of taking possession of the truck, the credit union hired a driver. Credit unions developed most rapidly among wage earners. The vision of creating an independent economic system was gradually being implemented in various communities. In the mining area, Alex McIntyre, a former miner accustomed to organization leadership, formed study clubs, then credit unions. The wages the miners would receive were abysmal. The 2-shift period might get you $13 if you were lucky. However, with all the deductions, you would end up losing half of that. Alex McIntyre finally said enough is enough and spearheaded change. He helped organize local credit unions and consumer cooperatives in mining and rural communities. Today, in 1938, many miners take their wages direct from the pay window to their own credit union. A credit union is a member-owned financial cooperative that was imperative to the success and development of the Antigonish movement. Without the financial support from credit unions, many cooperatives formed during this time would not have been able to exist. Credit unions saved the lives of industrial workers and their families. Education and money supplied by the study clubs and credit unions made possible a rapid growth of cooperative enterprises. In 1932, there were 13 cooperatives. In 1935, there were 84 cooperatives. And in 1938, there were 209 cooperatives. Many large-scale marketing cooperatives have grown from small beginnings. This group of lobster fishermen had just finished a day's catch. Looking at the lobster, one fisherman says to the other,
The dealer here only pays $9.80 a crate? What do you suppose he gets for them?
The group then goes to check the paper, only to find out that the dealer has been grossly underpaying them.
Let's try marketing one crate direct.
The group packs up their crate and gets ready to ship it off. The arrival of the check for the lobsters provided a revelation. The check was much higher than the wages being given to them by the lobster dealer. This opened their minds to the idea of starting a marketing cooperative. Avoiding the middleman dealer would be much more profitable for all parties. From such beginnings developed the United Maritime Fishermen, a marketing cooperative which today, in 1938, ships fish products all over the world. Not to undermine the movement's success during this time, however, sadly, as of the present day, the United Maritime Fishermen Cooperative was no longer operable. Marketing cooperatives make possible a division of the profits on processing and distribution between producer and consumer. Positive effects of cooperative movements have significantly impacted the quality of life of many industrial workers. Credit unions emerging from the study clubs, so did cooperative stores. Cooperative stores are retail businesses that are owned and operated by their members. The suppliers are typically local producers, cooperative networks, or wholesalers. These stores, the most common type of consumer cooperative, enable members to get better value for the money they spend. Common interests lead cooperative stores to feature cooperatively produced goods, thus providing a mutually beneficial business model for both cooperative movements. The producer cooperative provides the products to be sold, where the retail cooperative provides the retail storefront for selling the producer's products. A cooperative housing project means better homes in the immediate future. Miss Mary Arnold, representing the University Extension Department, guides this project. As previously presented in the film, miners were subject to living in ramshackled, company-provided houses and were being charged rent from their paychecks. This led miners to form a cooperative housing movement. This was a project of pure dedication and action, as the miners were building homes on top of their regular work schedule. For these new homes, miners worked together in their spare time and buy supplies cooperatively. Each miner had the interest of the cooperative at heart. They rightfully believed that they would be able to build community houses and upgrade their standard of living. However, the miners had many doubters who thought they wouldn't be up to the task. To quote the story of Tompkinsville, page 33, the men looked at the sun. It was long past noon. "Damn these miners," said the men who worked at the mixer. "They won't even stop to eat." Another means to higher living standards is the development of handcrafts among women's groups. The women learn the benefits of home processing of their own raw materials. With the help of St. Francis Xavier University and the introduction of cooperative movements, the lives of many trade workers would forever be touched. The workers were able to break free from the poverty cycle they were born into and have a life not doomed by economic conditions. Although this quote, in its original context, pertains to the Saskatchewan farmers, I believe it relates to each and every one of the cooperative movements introduced and the Antigonish movement as a whole. The new cooperation has indeed become a veritable religion among the farmers, on page 21 of The Emergence of the Agrarian Class Consciousness. Today, in 1938, living standards are being raised as a result of all these factors working together. The standard of living was indeed shaped by all the various factors the movement had to offer. They were given access to education, resulting in the formation of an unbreakable community bond. This community bond then formed a productive and successful series of cooperative movements, which was only made possible by the financial support from credit unions. The members of the cooperatives passionately follow the movements in terms of dedication and commitment. The movement also had a huge influence on their lives and behavior as religion does. Similar to religion, it gained outside attention and praise. The effectiveness of the movement is attested by the scores of American educators who come to study the various projects. Educators also attend the annual conference in Antigonish, where the people come to observe results and study problems. Sums up his people's attitude. Through the study, organization, and cooperation we have fought our way through. We have a long way to go yet, but we are going.